Okay, so this video is for you if you're a beginning filmmaker or a marketer or a business owner and you want to edit some videos, or you're just coming back from a vacation and you want to cut together some clips from your vacation and whatnot. This is Final Cut Pro for absolute beginners, and this is just a lot of how I do it. Um, this isn't an instruction manual. There's a lot of features about Final Cut Pro that I don't use and that I, you know, probably won't cover. I mean, I'll try to cover everything, but I make movie trailers and I get by with just using these features. And I promise I'll get you to a exported video and get you up on YouTube, or get it exported somehow. So let's start with we turn Final Cut Pro on. And then it starts up, and then you're going to get this message here. And it says Open Library. What you're going to want to do is click New. And then it's going to ask you to save it. You go to where you want to save it. We'll call this tutorial. And then this opens up. This screen here. You got your, over here, right here, you have your video screen. You have your timeline here. You have your rolls here. You've got your your audio levels. But we'll get to that. The most important thing that you're going to want to look at is up here in this region, right up here. And it's going to say the file name, and it's going to say Smart Collections. It's going to say what the event is, and it automatically sets it to the date. And I'll be honest with you, I don't typically use this a whole lot. What I really go to is this right here, Import Media. What you want to do is click that. Now this screen pops up. It's called the Media Import. It shows you where your devices are, where your folders are, and it gives you a whole bunch of junk over here. One thing that you want to click before you start anything is over here at Files. You want to make sure Leave Files in Place is selected, because if you don't, it's gonna copy all your files, and it's going to just going to duplicate your files, essentially. So you want to have Leave Files in Place, and then you want to go to your folder, wherever you have your media, and you want to, and I'm assuming you have the media already loaded into the computer. If you don't, let's just say you don't have the media loaded in, I'm going to plug in my little device that has the files on it. So let's say you want to import. Okay, well, you're going to go up here. It's going to automatically say cameras or something or another. And you want to click that. And then you want to go back down here to this region, and you're going to see your video clips and everything. Now you can click them, select them. You can select them all. You can, if you hit Alt, you can select portions of the clip. But for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to click the whole thing. We're just going to click this. And what you want to do is you got in Add to Existing Event, you have Create New Event. I always just keep it with Add to Existing Event just to make it easy. Although you could say Create New Event, and you could get really creative and invasive with your organization, which is important. But for now, we're just going to keep it to Add to Existing Event. We're going to make sure it says Copy to Library. Now that's different from what I said earlier. When you're importing, you want to be able to copy to library. That means you're going to get the files from your media onto your hard drive, and that's what you want. You don't want to edit media off of your little doohickey that you've plugged into the computer or your camera or whatever. So make sure copy to library is selected. Transcode, you want to say click create optimize media. That means it's going to create the highest quality media off of your video. This stuff down here, I never use that. You can just leave that to whatever it is. And then you hit import selected, and your file immediately will go up here, and you'll see it up here, and that's where it'll be. This little doohickey thing up here, that shows you the progress of it importing, and it imports fast, really fast. You don't have to worry about that. And this is 4K footage here, I believe, so that's really fast. Now we're going to show you how to import files. What you're going to want to do is come up here to this region again. You're going to want to hit Command-I, or go to File, Import, go to Media, and then you're going to go down to the folder where your media is going to be. Okay, so here I've got some files, just some miscellaneous stuff, some video clips, some sound clips, and as you can tell, you can preview your stuff here. You can preview it and just see what you've got. You can hit I, or not I, actually I'm sorry, you can do the thing where, I guess you have to import the whole thing. You can't select it like you can previously. That's interesting. Anyway, so we're gonna import all of this stuff, and again, we want to make sure leave files is in place. If it's already on the hard drive, you don't want to duplicate it. So make sure leave files is in place whenever you're pulling it already off your hard drive. And then that comes in real fast. Another way you can do that, I'm going to hit Command-Z to undo that, is you just go to the Finder window, and then you click your folders, and you go right there to the folder, and this is the way I do it. And then you hit Command-All, or you select all, and then you just drag it in. It's real simple. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start a new project. This is the basic. We're just going to get a clean project. You go down here to New Project, click that. Project name comes up. What do you want to call it? We'll call this Tutorial, and I always name it like 1. This is the one. This is the first version, and then it'll log it into the event 7/21/23. That is today's date. You're going to want to make sure it says use custom settings, especially if you're a beginner. Just make sure it says use custom settings. Now, if this comes up, disregard that. Go down and click use automatic settings. Okay? You want to hit OK, and then this timeline opens up. Now, this next part is really crucial. I'm going to think how to explain this best. When you edit video clips, there is a thing called frames per second, or frame rate. And sometimes video clips are 24 frames per second, sometimes they're 23.98, sometimes they're 30 frames per second, sometimes they're 29.98. There's a whole bunch of variations. And what you want to make sure is that your project has the file rate, or the frame rate of the majority of your clips. Now, that's not a hard and fast rule. That's just a rule that I typically go by. Nowadays, it doesn't really matter. Really, what matters is what your final format you want to deliver it in. So a good rule of thumb is find your highest quality media, whatever your highest quality media is. In this case, it would be the file that we imported. It would be this clip right here. That's the biggest file. That's the frame rate I want to work at. It's going to be, and if you want to, you're like, how do I check this out? You click on the file, and then over here, you click this I button. And this I button right here in this little region, it says, it'll tell you the resolution of the clip and the frame rate, and it'll tell you, I forget what this means. But don't worry, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, it does mean something, but that's for another day. Stereo, 48 kilohertz. Okay, that's the frame that I want, or I want this video to be in that resolution, in that frame rate. So I'm going to drop in this clip right here. And all you do is you click it. You can do one of two things. You can click it and then bring it down here and drop it in. And then that sets the timeline to that 3840 by 2160 and sets the frame rate automatically. So whatever clip it is, it'll set all the settings for you. Now, you can do that, or you can highlight that clip. And this is really cool. I like this. You hit Command plus, and you can make the video clip longer, or you can like zoom in, I guess you could say. And if you want to do that manually to be able to zoom, you just go up to this little film clip here, and then you drag this slider around. Now, let's say you only want to bring in a portion of this clip. You hit Alt, and then your cursor turns to these two arrows. You go to wherever you want to start with the clip. You click, and then you drag, and you say, okay, that's enough of the clip. And then you bring your cursor over it so it's the hand, and then you drag it down. And then that'll just bring in a short clip. So, but we're going to import the whole clip just for the sake of the tutorial. Okay, so then you're going to want to, you're going to have your clip down here. You can scroll through it and whatnot, and let's put some more clips in, actually. So let's put that in, and then, to put more clips in at once, you hit Shift, and then you select, and then you just drag, or you push. Let me see here. And I'm a little rusty on these keyframes, and they might be different for you. I always just drag stuff down. It's easier. And for your sake, just drag it down. And again, if you want to get really advanced and really, there are keyboard shortcuts that you can use, but for just sticking with basics, that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to put in a sound effect, and then we're going to put in some music. Now, here we've got our timeline down here. This is what's most important, and you can make the timeline bigger or smaller by putting your cursor here and dragging it up and down. Now, visually, what you're looking at here with these clips, you can make these clips bigger or smaller depending on how you want to look at them by going to this film strip thing here and clicking that, and this dial slider will make the clips longer. Now what I always do is I always just hit Command minus or plus, and that gets the job done. But sometimes I just want to see the waveform. The waveform is being able to see the audio peaks. So I'll just click this right here, and then it just shifts over to showing predominantly the waveforms. Or you can show predominantly the visuals. Well, that actually makes it smaller. And that's good for whenever you got a really complex project and you're moving all kinds of stuff around. I typically keep it... Oh, and then this slider here shows it makes it tall, makes the visuals bigger. I typically keep it here and like that. So one of the, trying to think how you're going to start a project. Let us just say that, okay, so you have your stuff here, your clips, your materials. You're not going to want to edit this way. Or at least I wouldn't. I might do that for a project, but for where you're at, where you're wondering, well, what if I only want to use a couple of clips, or I only want to use a section of clips? Let's go back to that. Let's move all these clips out. All you do is you highlight them, you hit delete. Let's go up and select a few clips. Select a little bit of this. Let's take a little bit of this. Remember, you hit Alt and you do that, or you hit I and O for your inputs and outputs. So that's I and O. And as you scroll here, you can see your video in the viewer. So you go here, and then let's say we want to put this clip right after this clip down here that's already in the timeline. So what you want to do is you want to put this thingamajig, I don't know what it's called, but you want to put your, I can't remember what this is called. It doesn't matter. This thing that, your scroller. You want to put it right next to the end of the video clip. You want to go here, you want to select your clip, and you want to go over to one of these little buttons over here. And these do different things. Sometimes they insert the clip, sometimes they overwrite the clip, and sometimes they connect to the selected clips, but I never do that. I think that just gets a little confusing, a little too confusing. So what you want to do is, you got your selected clip here. You can go down to, I always use insert. Click that and it inserts the clip right into your timeline. Again, it's much easier just to, for a beginner, it's much easier just to bring the clip down. So you keep bringing your clips down, you go up here, you select a couple, you bring them down, okay, and you've got your show here, and you say to yourself, okay, I want this clip here to be between these two clips. What do I do? It's real simple. For now, we'll get to when it becomes more complicated in a minute. All you do is you take your clip and you just drag it and then put it right between the two clips. And Final Cut Pro has what's called a magnetic timeline, and it just reorganizes it. However, you can't rely on that as the project increases in complexity and as you start putting music in, and you want to start editing to music. Let's put some music in right now. Let's go here. Let's drag that down. Now, let's say that we want to, see, now this is what you're going to run into. Let's say you want your clip, let's say you want to have a little bit of black space over here, and you want the clips to start right here. So I'm going to try to move the clips, but you see, you start moving the clips over, and it brings the whole thing over. And that might be the first thing that frustrates you with Final Cut Pro. What I'm going to suggest is that you learn this keyboard shortcut, and that is Option. For me, it's Option what you're going to want to do is, and this is difficult to explain, and this is something you have to wrap your mind around with Final Cut Pro, so we're just going to kind of mess around with this to kind of get a sense for it. You're going to want to select whatever clip it is, and you're going to want to go up to, let's see here. I have a keyframe for it, and I don't remember what the keyframe is going to be for you. So what you're going to do is you're going to go, anytime you can't find anything in Final Cut Pro X, you can go up to Help, and you can type in your thing, whatever it is, but you're not going to know what this is called. But it's called Lift from Storyline. And then and then you just go down and hover over it, and it'll show this white little thing, this white little doohickey over there. You go to Edit, and it says Lift from Storyline. So you click that, and watch what happens. Okay, so you've got this gray bar down here now. And this gray bar, once you have this gray bar, it kind of negates this ability to move things around, although you can still do it, and that's good. But what I do when I edit is I always lift something from the storyline. The storyline is this down here, this gray thing. I don't know why they call it that. It doesn't matter. But you want to start to have this gray area, and you do that by clicking on a clip, going up to Edit, and going down to Lift from Storyline. Now, what I recommend you do at this point is you go up to Final Cut Pro, you go to Commands, and you Customize. And what we just did there is called Lift from Storyline. You want to go Lift from Storyline, and it'll come up there. And what you want to do is set the keyframe to something that you're comfortable with. Now, for me, whatever reason, I chose option B, and that helps break that magnetic timeline. And then when it's broken, you can start to bring the clip up and around and over here, and you can stack it, and in fact, it'll create more of a storyline for you. And you can move it around, and it breaks that magnetic timeline. So let's say we want to have this clip right here start at that point. You just bring it back, you drop it there, and then you make your edit. And then you bring this over here and you connect it to, and then you've got, and it cuts nicely on the music there. And so now this guy down here, this is going to cause a little bit of problem. So I'm going to try to move that up. Oh, and apparently you can just move the clip up from the timeline or from the storyline manually. You don't even have to lift it. So you got that. And see, now that's interesting. So now that throws off all my edits. You move that up. What you want to do, if you've got a clip that's still stuck down there on the storyline, again, you just go up here to Edit, Lift from Storyline, or in my case, I hit option B, whatever your key frame is or your key command is for that. And you want to do that for everything. Eventually, whenever you get real serious about your edits and you kind of have them worked in, you're going to want to have this gray bar here on the entire length of your project. And again, that negates this being able to shift clips around magnetically, but this is kind of how I used to edit, where you manually move things around and you kind of drop things in there, and then it does it on its own. And I almost prefer to edit that way. Some people might not tolerate that. They might want to just do it completely magnetic. That's fine until you start adding music. So you've got your clips here. Let's just make a complete little timeline here. So okay, we've got a little video clip here. We've got a little timeline with some action going on. I always like to add in a little bit of black space at the beginning of the video, on the video. What you want to do there is you would like this to happen, okay? Where you have a couple of seconds of black before your video starts. How did I do that? Okay, what you want to do is you want to go up to... Okay, so let's say you've got your little video going here, and you want to mess with the audio, okay? So you go down, you click the audio, and this white line appears, and you put your scroller right there, and then you can move the volume up and down. And as the waveform goes up, it starts to turn red. You see how it's turning red there? That means it's starting to quote unquote clip. And it's starting to crackle in a digital sense. Again, that's for another time, but you can drag this down. What I like to do is I like to highlight the clip. I like to hit Control minus, and that brings it down in increments. Or I can hit Control plus, that brings it up in increments again. So let's say you want to add some filters to your sound. What you want to do is you want to go over here to this square thingy. I don't know why it illustrates it that way, but you want to click on that. You want to hit Show or Hide Effects Browser. You can click that. And you're going to get two sets of filters. You're going to get sets for video and a set for audio. We're just going to stick with the audio for right now. Let us say that you want to put on a little echo. So you click Echo. And again, this is organized with the different types of audio filters you can put on. Let's actually put on a little reverb. I love reverb. So we'll put on, here's some presets over here. And as you scroll through these presets, as you hover over them and scroll through them, they will preview the sound for you and how it'll sound. Sometimes it doesn't do that, but let's just select this. Let's click it, drag it, and drop it right on there. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to obviously be able to augment that. You're going to go up here and click the sound icon in the information tab. You click that, and then you go down to where the effect is, and you're going to want to, well, that's kind of nasty. I just learned something. Let's get rid of that effect. You want to hit delete. You don't want to use that. In fact, anything up here that says Final Cut Pro, don't want to mess with that. Well, I mean, you can if you want. But what you want to do is you want to go down to Space Designer if you're going to use reverb. You want to click that, drag it in. Now you've got parameters to work with. Okay, that's good. In fact, if you go up here and you click this little icon, you get a lot of dials and knobs to turn and everything. And what I just use, I typically just use presets up here. And you'll see as we go through these presets, it shifts the waveforms automatically, which is really awesome. So it doesn't take up a whole lot of processing power. So there's that, and if you want to toggle off the feature, you just click this blue check, and then if you want it back on, you click it again, and you click the X to get rid of that. And let's get rid of it. Let's go up here, you click that, and then you hit delete. Let's try that with video now. Well, let's apply some video effects. Now, the video effect you're going to want to apply is color correction. So you're going to want to go up here. You got your all, you've got color. You have a thing called color board. I don't know why they call it that, but that's what they do. So you take the color board and then you bring it over here and you drop it in. And once you do that, you can go up here to this triangle, click that, and you'll have your tools. But you know what? There's an easier way. I'm just going to get rid of that for a second here. And I'm going to go to another clip. I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to note that it says no corrections up here. You go up and you click on that. You click on this little twirly down. You hit color board. And boom, you get your color board. You don't even have to go down to this effects menu. And you're probably only going to be using the color correction. And the color correction is, there's these 3 dots here, and what you want to be is on the exposure. You can bring down, I'm not sure, I think this is I'm not going to get technical with this, and I'm not the person to ask about color correction in this capacity, but you've got your brightness, you've got your darks, these are your blacks, you can drag them down, and you've got your mids, so you can affect a wide range and affect a wide range of the image. Now, what's these kind of blue lights over here? Well, we're not going to talk about that. That's an advanced thing. We're just sticking with beginner. Now, let's say you want to zoom in on the clip, or you want to do something to this clip, like shrink it or move it side to side or whatnot. What you want to do is you want to click on the clip, and you want to go up to this tab, this film strip tab, and you click that. It's already clicked. You click that, and you get a whole list of options. And these options are really cool, what you can do, and we could spend hours talking about all these things, but we're just going to briefly go through them. You've got your opacity. You can turn it down, turn it up. You've got your position. It's over here. You can kind of scroll up, and then that'll move it. Or you can scroll it on the y-axis. What you can do, if you're going to really mess with the positioning of the clip, what I advise you do is you hit Shift-T, and that puts the picture into transform mode. Let's see how you do that. And the way you do that manually is you come down to this right here, click that, hit transform, and that puts the clip into transform, and then you can manually just move it around with your mouse, which is much easier. And you can do all kinds of stuff. Hit done. Okay, you've got your scale. You can scale it up. You can move your anchor. You can crop it left, right. You can distort it. You probably won't be using this, but just play with them a little bit. You can do stabilization. If you just click that, it'll automatically stabilize the shot. It kind of works. That requires a lot of playing with. Rolling shutter, we won't get into that. You've got spatial conform, we won't get into that, but you have a lot of information over here that takes a lot of exploration. Now, what about if you want to change these things over time? You want to zoom into your clip. Well, what you want to do is you want to go over to this area, to the far right, and as you move your cursor up, you will see this square with a cross in it. Now, you can click that. It'll say Add Keyframe. You can click that. Okay? Then you go ahead in the clip, and then you change whatever parameter you want to change. You want to zoom in, and then you go back to the beginning. It actually looks like you're really zooming in there. And then if you want to further look at that, you hit Control V, and that brings up video animation. I'm not sure how you do that manually. Although let's go up to the help menu and find out. That's called animation. So let's type animation. show video animation. Now the way you do that is you go to clip, show video animation, boom. But you just want to do Control V, and it's real simple. And you can move the keyframe around on this panel and make the zoom faster. And you get really creative with that. And then when you want to close that, you hit Control V. Now let's say you want to add some titles to your video. That's real easy. All you do is you go back up here to where it says Show or Hide Titles and Generator Sidebar. You click on this, and you get a whole assortment of options. I don't use any of these. The one that I use the most, and the one that I recommend you use, there's so many here. You've got 360 fade. These are presets, basically. These are presets generated from the program Apple Motion. For this tutorial, we're just going to go down to custom. And we're going to take custom, we're going to click on it, and we're going to drag it onto the timeline. Boom, drop it there. And this is real simple. All you do, you want to change it from title to something else. You want to say, My Movie. Well, you click on that, and then you go up here to the viewer, double click on it, and you type, My Movie. Now let's say we want to change that font. We don't like the font. It's ugly. What you do is you click the text, and you go over here to the information section, and you go to font, and you just scroll around whatever font you want, impact. You've got ITC. Well, I have ITC. I have Adobe Fonts. And let's just pick impact. And you've got your size over here. You can move that up and down on this slider. You've got your alignment. You've got your line spacing. That's if you have more than one line. You've got your tracking. Tracking's always very important. And let's say you want, you just go over here and you move it. Now, let's take a look. Okay, that's good. I want to shorten the title. I just move my cursor and then I drag this. You just hover your cursor over the end and then you can drag it and make it longer and shorter to your heart's content. And that applies to clips as well. But let's say you want to make this title and then fade off. Okay, what you do is you click it. You go over to this bow tie icon. Click that. And you've got a bunch of transitions. Now, I like dissolves. I'm a classic fade kind of guy. So what you want to do is you want to go click cross dissolve. And you just click it. And then boom, it applies the fade automatically. You got your My Movie. And it fades. And then if you want to make the fade longer, all you do is you go and you make the timeline longer. You don't have to do that, but it's easier to see. And you can select that fade, and you can treat that fade as if it's a movie clip itself, and you can drag it out, and you can shorten it in, and there you go. You've got your fade, and then, or you want to go shorter, or you want to go longer, you want to fade away. Now, there's so much you can do with fades. I'm a big fade guy. I don't like to use the cross dissolves for fades. I have another thing I do, but for now that's okay. And so that's it. Trying to think if there's any. Oh well, no, we want to export. Let's say we've got our video. All right. Now this is going to be really important. Well, I don't know how important it is for you, but if you ever want to start really making professional videos, you always want to be able to keep your music and your dialogue and your sound effects separate. And in order to do that, you go to click on the file down here on the audio, and then you right click. You go to Assign Audio Roles, and this is music, so we call it music. Now that's an advanced tip, and that'll just keep everything separate and organized, and we could get into that later. I have a sound effect here, I believe. So this clip I'm putting in is a sound effect, and I want it to be sound effects. You right click it, assign audio roles, effects, boom, and it's a different color now. And then by default, most of the clips are dialogue clips, but that's for another time. Let us say we want to export this. Okay, so we don't want all this extra junk here. In fact, we want the clip just to fade out right here. So you bring this back, this, give it a little fade. Oh, and that's another thing you can do. Whenever you want to fade out your audio, you bring your pointer to right here in this little dot. It's so small you can hardly see it, but and you can just bring it out like that. And it's real nice and easy. Now, whenever you want to export, and let's say you only want 25 seconds, this gray bar is going to determine how much is exported. So wherever this gray bar is, that's what's going to export. That's one way. So with that way, we're going to set it right here. We just want it, in fact, we want a little bit of black at the end, so we're going to pull it out a little further, and then the video ends. In fact, I'd like to have a little more. Bring that out, okay. And let's put a little black at the beginning. Again, you just bring that out a little more. Okay, and then so here's what you do. You go up to File, you go down to Share. I don't know why they call it Share. I guess because they're trying to make it consumer friendly. It should be called Export, but we won't get into that. You go to File, Share, Export File, and then you've got info, and you can type in whatever you want the clip to be called. And you've got settings here where you can read it. I'd suggest you just leave it on the source. You've got your roles here. That's a more of an advanced thing. And you just click Next. And then you put where do you want to send it to. We'll send it right here. You click Save. And boom. Up here, it shows you the progress. This little wheel up here. And before you know it, it pops up and you've got your finished video ready to go. Now, let's say you want to upload this to YouTube. What you're going to do is you're going to go to File, Share. You're going to hit YouTube and Facebook default. You click that. You go to Settings. You want to make sure you're uploading the highest resolution possible. Okay, so in Settings, you go to Resolution. You hit 384 by 2160. That's the size of the timeline. And you click that. And you hit Next. And again, boom. It'll send it out and it'll render it. And that's it. Final Cut Pro X is probably one of the most simple editing softwares. I mean, I'm an Apple guy. I've tried using Adobe Premiere on Mac and it's slow, but that's just me. I'm not a Premiere guy. I've tried using Blackmagic, the Blackmagic or DaVinci Resolve Pro, whatever it's called. That's okay. But Final Cut Pro X I think is the best. It's not perfect, but it's about as perfect as you're going to get. I think that you're going to have a lot of fun being able to edit videos now, and I suggest that if I miss something, please just message me or leave something in the comments below, and I'll get right back to you. Or just go back and review the video. I'm sure you're going to find the answers somewhere in there. And again, you can always find me at trailers@acrolightpictures.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.